Did you know that 95% of today's consumers are outside of the U.S.? Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the opportunities that are there internationally to look at new market areas for your business and how to start. And today, joining me, I am Kathy Biederman. I'm with the Economic Development Office here for the City of Beachwood. And joining me today is Nicky Sulandari with the Collaborative Area Chambers of Commerce and Don Larson with the British American Chamber of Commerce. We're going to have a great conversation today revolving around foreign markets, ways that you may be able to enter into those foreign markets. And I'll start it off, in conversation with the both of you. Why consider international markets today?
Well, international market, so now we are so global, right? United States, when we have businesses in United States, majority big businesses, they do international business. So we are so global and so intermingle all of that. So international market is huge. We are talking about 7 billion population in the world. We are only here in United States, 368 million. So a lot of businesses outside of United States. So maybe Don Larson from British American Chamber of Commerce will emphasize that. What is international market exactly, Don?
That's a rather broad task there to define the whole international market. Our specialty is Western Europe and particularly the UK. But if I want to go big global strategic for you for a minute and back to your original premise in the intro about 95% of consumers being outside of the United States, businesses are focused on growth, right? And the U.S. is the, arguably the largest economy in the world, depending which metric you want to use. But how do you really get your business growing? You need to get your products or services into an economy that is also growing or lacks your key products and services. That's where you get the real opportunity to blossom. If you're sitting inside of the same city you've operated in for 30 years, all you're going to get is inflationary incremental growth. So by going international and hitting there are some other rather large countries out there. Nicky originally hails from Indonesia, slightly more than 300 million people there, I believe. We network with the Nigerian Chamber of Commerce here in town, also more than 300 million people in the country, and I believe more than half of them are under 30 years old. It's places like that that have the potential for phenomenal economic development and growth. And if your products or services are in there, you ride that wave up. That whole rising tide lifts whole boats effect.
And I have to imagine for Beachwood's businesses that are here within the community, the City of Beachwood, we have about 14,000 in population. We have about 100,000 people that come into the business community and visit Beachwood on a daily basis, and about 25,000 employees. But I think what's unique is that we're still very small when you talk about the perspective from a global standpoint. And the ability to be able to expand into those markets and identify areas where your product may be lacking can offer a real opportunity for Beachwood businesses and businesses here within the region. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I agree 100% because but sometimes businesses, they could not see. They only concentrate on their business, but they need to have a development or research development outside so they can see what is the market outside there for their product. So that's why this engagement with other international chambers is very important because why? As a local chambers, if you don't have connection to the international chambers, then you're just connected in the city alone. But if you have connection with the international chambers and their international chambers, they connected to the businesses where their countries. So it's a really, really important for me. How about you, Don?
And you don't have to be gigantic to be successful. Global supply chains are made up of, that they typically talk, you got the OEMs, then the tier ones, the tier twos, the tier threes, the tier fours. So if you think of, again, sticking on the Western Europe example, something like Airbus, right? Most of the time everybody goes, oh, geez, the supply to Airbus, you got to be this multi-billion-dollar corporation with an office in Toulouse, France at the main assembly plant. And that's not true. Certainly if you're making airframes, that's who you've got to be. But there's all sorts of electronics and components and specialized switches and valves and things like that. There's an enormous supply chain that feeds into an industry like that. And if you end up at, say, the Paris Air Show, which I think might come up a little later in this conversation, you get the chance to get your products or services? Do you have some sort of unique testing abilities into those components? You can be part of those global supply chains without being a multi-billion-dollar corporation.
And so let's talk a little bit about that because it is interesting. There's a lot of resources here within Northeast Ohio to be able to support companies that are looking to get into these new market areas. CCA is a wonderful example of how you can really start networking and get to know other business owners within the area, get to know your local chambers of commerce, the delegates that are represented within those chambers of commerce that have connections with other businesses within those market areas. Also, the SBDC here at Cleveland State University has an amazing export program. Nate Ward and his team over there do a fantastic job of really offering what I would say is customized tailoring to a company to really identify what opportunities there are, give them some consulting to be able to move forward on how to strategize into these new market areas. It identifies the market research that maybe is necessary behind it. I believe they also have an export intern program that enables an intern to come into their office or into their business and really help the business understand and strategize on where that market identification can be. They have some visitation programs that they support going into these market areas, and then even offer some assistance financially to be able to prepare the company to get into those foreign markets. Have you seen that as a useful tool here within the region?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know Network very well. I invited him so many times into Collaborative Chamber Alliance event, especially with the leaders events. And again, his organization is really unique when you can again customize into a certain companies to make them globally, because sometimes again a company, they're so concentrated on their business and they forget the market outside of United States that is so large. So Network is the perfect organization to start the small businesses to become a global without thinking like overwhelmed where to start. So the beauty of the Collaborative Chamber Alliance is that connected the local chambers with international chambers, because why sometimes local organization or local companies, they don't even want to join the local chambers because they think, oh, local chambers is only mom and pop businesses, and my business is a business to business. Why I need to join a chamber that business to customer or consumer? So when we put together Collaborative Chamber Alliance, is connected from the standpoint of local chamber and international. So now the medium and the bigger businesses now thinking chamber totally different. Hey, my Beachwood Chamber of Commerce, they have connection here with the British American Chamber of Commerce or French Chamber of Commerce because of the CCA. So now is expanding their broad market and tools and everything for the Chamber of Commerce to get into the international market. So yeah, I agree. A lot of resources here in Ohio.
And that's a great point, because I think one of the things that I've found interesting too about the networking events that you have is that you have that team there that really supports international business, from accountants to legal to, even folks that can better understand the cultural nuances and differences between, as you're looking to brand your product. A lot of times that branding has to conform to the market area that you're going into, and I've connected with people in your organization that really have their hand on the have the pulse on where that direction and support needs to be given to local businesses. One of the things also that I'd love to talk a little bit about are some experiences that you've had with companies and how you've been able to support companies in that area. Do you have a story that you can share relative to some support or assistance that you've offered companies recently?
Yeah, absolutely. So back in last year in spring, we did the roundtable discussion with different local chambers. I can mention the Chamber of Commerce is a Euclid Chamber of Commerce. We offer them to do the roundtable discussion. So that way, the big businesses, they invited big businesses that were not even belongs to the chamber because they did not believe in a Chamber of Commerce. So we invited the Euclid Chamber, the mayors, the big businesses to the roundtable, and then we invited the international, including Don Larson was there. He was complimenting with the breakfast, which is like a crazy breakfast. It's almost like a dinner breakfast. So it was awesome. And then turned
Best
out
breakfast buffet
Best
I have
breakfast.
ever seen.
that's really true. Even the breakfast with a steak, I just could not believe it. So we invited 7 to 8 different organizations or companies, million dollars companies. We invited the International Chamber of Commerce, and turned out one and two of the companies joined the chamber, which is that the $1 million companies joined the chamber. And then we brought in the international chamber representative to the company, and one of those visit also included the company from French turned out to visit this organization or this company in Euclid. And whether that is
fantastic.
becoming a business later or not, it becomes exposure for this local business to aerospace business in French. So there you go. So potentially one of these days, if someone would like in French would like to expand, they know that Euclid got industrial. It's the same thing with the Beachwood. Beachwood got industrial. So we offer this opportunity to Beachwood Chamber of Commerce and also the City of Beachwood to have the roundtable and invite the big companies that never believe in a chamber to have the conversation and open up their mindset that the chamber today of Beachwood Chamber totally different than Beachwood Chamber in the past. So there you go. How about you, Don?
Well, I've got an inbound story I can tell you.
Yes.
As we talked before the program began, economic development's a long road. It's not like winning the lottery where you put a little money down on Wednesday, and if the numbers strike right by Thursday, everything's coming up roses. But going back to 2022. One of the members of the chamber in London, we've got members there, was speaking to a local UK company looking to expand into the United States. I would love to say they immediately called me afterwards, but it's not true. They called another one of our members based here in Ohio, which is OAI, the Ohio Aerospace Institute. So out of the chamber network, company in the UK, speaking to a member of ours in the UK, connected to another member here in Ohio to rush the story forward. I'm talking about Blue Abyss, which you've probably seen on multiple news pieces here. They've been written up in Cranes, Cleveland. They're building a $280 million astronaut training facility out by the airport next to NASA Glenn. I'd like to claim it was all us that made it happen, which is not true. The state's been involved. OAI, the folks in Columbus have provided some seed funding on it. So it was a gigantic effort, but it was that network. It was that piece that Nicky's talking about there, that by connecting to this member and connecting to this member and then coming in for our conference in 2022, meeting everybody in person, it's led to one of the largest inbound economic development projects that Northern Ohio has had in the last 10 years.
It's fantastic, and it really is amazing to see how those networks continue to transpire. And I think what is so unique is when I have been out to CCA's events and programs, it is so easy to have a conversation and so easy for that conversation to lead into other connections and other opportunities. And I would have to imagine that you find the same thing when people come in new to a CCA event, they are welcomed immediately, which I think is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I had really not bad, but it's just that I went to one of the networking in one of the local chamber, long time ago when I started the business. I came for lunch or luncheon, and nobody talked to me. Nobody even said hello to me. I was like playing my cell phone because nobody said anything to me. So that experience really sink into my brain. When I put networking together, when I put the CCA, I want everybody to feel welcoming, to feel home, to feel this is the networking place that you want to talk to everybody, get a network, get a new relationship, and build the relationship. So that was my experience. I don't want anyone to have that kind of experience. So as soon as anyone walk in, I greet them, I introduce them, and they will not feel alone at all. If anyone feel alone, I approach them, hey, what is your business, such and such. Oh, what about if I introduce you to this person? So I always make sure and go to circle and find anyone and introduce to everyone out there. So there always be in a networking space that always welcoming.
And I think overall, it's amazing to hear the stories like what Dawn's talking about that have come out of those networking opportunities and have brought real life business opportunities here to Northeast Ohio and to the area. And I'd love to continue to talk. I think one of the things that we want to continue to emphasize is that through the One Stop Resource Center here within Beachwood and the network partners that are associated throughout Northeast Ohio, there's so many opportunities for businesses to really get engaged, find ways to tap into these new market areas, and identify other mechanisms to be able to drive into the opportunity to get in touch with new consumers in areas where their products and services may be in demand and far exceed the opportunities that they have here regionally. Anything else that either of you want to add to the conversation?
How about you, John?
Be engaged.
Yep.
So for the small business owner out in Beachwood or anywhere, doesn't have to just be Beachwood. It seems like it might be it's a hill too far to climb, and how could I ever break into Europe or Asia? And the answer is no, it won't happen tomorrow, but you can do it. It's not really that hard. It's just it takes time and effort. You've got to get to all the resources that both of you mentioned. And there's more than that. I mean, at the crazy point, do you want to go on a trade mission to Europe? Well, what industry are you in? There's probably some sort of a grant, either at the state or the federal level. These networks will help you find it. That'll partially fund your participation in a trip to Europe. So yeah, it's $15,000 to go do a trade mission to Europe. What if 3/4 of it was paid for? By one of these other programs out there that you'll find out through these connections. Then pull the rest of the money out of your pocket and go.
And that's a great segue to the next step being for small businesses that are here within the area. Utilize these resources. Go to the One Stop Resource Center that we have at beachwood.ohio.com. You can also go to the CSU Export Assistance Center, the Collaborative Chambers of Commerce, your Beachwood Area Chamber of Commerce, and you'll be connected pretty quickly into the networks that are here to support business opportunities within the city of Beachwood and within Northeast Ohio. I want to thank you both for coming today and for speaking with us openly about the conversation and providing us the opportunity to have better insight as to how we can get into these areas of focus and start broadening our business base here within the community. Thank you for coming today.
Yeah,
Pleasure to
thank
be
you.
here.
Thank you so much for having us.